Welcome back, agents. Secret Agent Stash here, and today at GIA headquarters, we have captured one of our high-value targets today, and we're tossing him into the box here, and we're gonna get him to rate 15 of the most popular crypto games right now, and see what he really has to say about these top games in the market. Please help me welcome to the interrogation room here, Mr. Hustlepedia. What is going on, my friend?
What is up, Stash? Been a minute since we chopped it up. This will be exciting. I think hopefully we don't make too many people too mad about their favorite projects.
You know, it's bound to happen. I'll tell you, there's got to be some winners and there's got to be some losers. Some people just don't realize that. And even within amongst what we think are great projects, you can kind of understand that there is some difference there, right? You know, like, hey, what separates an A and an S tier? Well, I mean, that really is a lot of time comes down to personal opinion, or unless they're paying you to be here, I guess maybe that's what everyone always thinks. They're like, oh no, he's just shilling his bags. Yeah, we've seen all of the little memes of the tier list now floating around. And by the way, guys, and to you as well, Hustlepedia, Johnny, I'm sorry. I started this trend and now everyone hates it. And I kind of do too, but we're gonna keep going at it because I love it. Actually, we have a good time talking about these games, man. And I think it's a good discovery piece too.
I think tier lists are awesome, despite the people that'll get mad. It's a good way to gauge, where games stand. So yeah, I'm excited.
I agree, man. All right, let's jump into it. Let's get right into this. And look, man, I'm gonna tell you right now. Look, if you don't give me the answers I need on these games, I may just have to pull out some of the torture tools, man, in this interrogation today. So if I need to pull some fingernails, because you won't give me the actual answers, man. I don't want none of the shilling answers. I don't want none of the I paid for this answer. I want the honest opinion straight from the dome.
You know what's perfect is that none of these games on this list have paid me $1.
It's great. All right, me neither. Let's go into it. All right, popping collars, and we're going in. Popping collars, and probably not making any dollars on this one, unfortunately. Usually we're popping collars and making dollars, but not today. But we're going to rate 15 of the top crypto Web3 enabled games right now. Most of these games are playable. There are a couple on here that, whereas maybe they're not playable to a larger base, they're like there. They're right there. But in general, most of these are very playable. So... do you recognize all these games?
I do.
Played all yep. Have you looking at them? Are there any games here you actually have not played?
Yeah, off the grid's not publicly playable, even like behind closed doors. But
Iron Gates.
I mean, I've played everything else on the list, though. Yeah.
All right, let's go, man. I'm ready for it. All right, let's kick this off. We're gonna go front to back, back to front, jump around a little bit. Oddly enough, the Aurory logo is an upside down A. It looks like a V. But that's what we're going with first. What do you think about Aurory and their launch here they just had with their new game? It's kind of like a mini game, I guess, right? Secret of Token. And have you any experience actually playing the game, or what do you think about Aurory?
So I had played a previous build. I haven't jumped into the new one, so
right.
I will need to do that to maybe make sure the assessment is proper. They have and this matters to me because games cost a lot of money, development power, and they have a big war chest to build this thing out with. The graphics are solid. I think that they have an amazing community. It's definitely not wrecked for me, and people have to understand this is a really high quality list we have here. Like, this is some great games. When I stack it up against, when I stack it up against other products, it's gonna go into the C tier for me. Now, only because this list has to be done justice. It's gonna be a harder criteria, I think, to strike those S tiers. So for now, to me, great game. They have like I said, a great war chest to build this thing out. But to me, it's not gonna crack B, A, or S.
Yeah. Okay. I can feel that. I can understand that. The new, like I said, it's like a mini game, right? It's not. I wouldn't consider it like the full, but Secrets of I think it's Secrets of Token is how you pronounce it. Yeah, it looks cool. I haven't jumped in either. I've been meaning to. There was a couple of games really that have just launched here in Web3 over the last week over the kind of holiday week, you know. And man, all last week was just is crazy, you know. There's too much going on. I got relatives, I got all those things going, you know, and I just didn't get as much game time. And there was a lot of games that I want, and that was one of them. I didn't get a chance to jump in either. I have played previous, you know, builds, stuff like that too. I mean, I would kind of agree with you. I think that Aurory in general, maybe have let me down a little bit. And I feel like I've never gotten over it. You know, I feel like it had this like original, like really nice vision of this JRPG with like these really nice painted visuals. Was it what they really, you know, were kind of selling? And I feel like maybe they didn't deliver as much on that as I wanted. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think there's a lot of things that they could do better, but it's definitely not wrecked to me. So it's like in that middle ground, right?
No, and I think that you're fair. I also would probably put in a C or maybe a B category. I think that's a fair rating. I think that's a fair rating, kind of seeing where things are at. Yep. All right, moving on. Next up, Wildcard. What do you think about Wildcard? Have you played this game? Because this is one of the games where it's, you know, it's not in like a public beta even. It's somewhat open. I still kind of consider it closed access. But what do you think about Wildcard?
Yeah, I've jumped into like a small private build. I only played it one time because, as you said, it's not like it's this frequently available, even for some creators. Like I said, I only played it one time. I got to say, it was one of the more well-polished gameplays that I've gotten into. The graphics are phenomenal. The game, like the structure of the characters and the assets makes a lot of sense to me. Like I said, this is a tough list, but I genuinely think they're doing a lot of things right on the marketing perspective. And that does matter. Like if you make a great game, but you can't get players in, or you can't spread the word correctly, appropriately, then what is the point of having a good game, right?
It's like a tree falling in the forest, man. You know, no one's going to hear it.
Yeah. And I think obviously when people look at this list and they see the Illuviums, they see the Star Atlases, they see the Shrapnels, and those are going to be the ones that get all the glam and the public eye. I'm going to put this one in an A tier, personally.
Okay.
I think Wildcard's super solid. I think they deserve an A, especially, like I said, with the quality of projects on the list. I think this is the right spot.
Okay, I feel you. Yeah, I love Wildcard, man. Out of all the games, I think that it has a uniqueness to it that is not too far from current metas in like MOBAs and kind of, you know, in gaming in general, but still far enough to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? But not be too different. That's a thing, man. Like being too different, like, oh, that's a crazy, that can actually hurt you sometimes. And I think Wildcard has a really good blend of the two mechanics of kind of like a MOBA and card battling system, you know? I think they're going to do really well, man. You know, right now they've really been taking things very slow as well, and they're, I would say, maybe a little bit behind on some of these other games. But man, because they really want to put that time in. But yeah, I think A tier is right there. I think that's solid for Wildcard as well.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, man. Well, I can't disagree with you yet. You're on point here. Dang, man, you're so good so far. All right, let's see what you got, man.
We got a lot to
go.
What you got
next? Let me get a little curveball going. Axie Infinity. Where are you at on the Axie debate? Because it could go one way or the other. I don't know where you stand here, but you know, in your mind, Axie could be wrecked or it could be S tier. I've seen it in both locations and other, copycat tier lists out there. You know, like the other guys who copycat. You know, that's those guys. What do you think about Axie?
Stash, you know how this one goes, okay? You know, if I don't put it in S, the Ron Axie community is going to come in this comment section. They're going to flood your tweet. They're going to be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. They're going to be like, Hustlepedia, we have all the players. We look at our transactions. Look at this. But
DAUs.
But look here, if we're talking about gaming experiences, we're talking about jumping into these products. And when I see the things that they're stacked up against on this particular list, I don't give a crap about your users, all right? We saw stuff like Pegaxy and Krabata getting users at one point, and those were base
Alien Worlds
level.
Alien Worlds.
There you go.
Been on this list before. I wasn't,
So will it ever die? No. It will not. Axie's going to be here forever, in my opinion. They have great IP. It's one of the OG crypto games. Everyone knows what it is. But to me, the game itself has made no strides to compete with what's coming out in this next cycle of games. Let's do it, man. Wrecked.
Going wrecked. Wow. Okay. Honestly, I didn't know which way it was gonna go. You had this whole thing, and I was like, is this gonna go S tier or wrecked? I wasn't really sure, man. I was kind of like the anticipation built. You know, man, I would pretty much agree with you when we talk about like the core Axie game. I think that where everyone kind of sees this is they're like, well, you know, the pivot always comes down to like, well, it's not about Axie Classic or whatever, you know, or Axie Origins. It's about Axie as an IP, guys. That's what it's about. And I would say even as like an IP, like something that's recognizable, something that people love, that's cute. I feel like even Axie kind of falls short a little bit of that. Like just you know, looking at the characters that drawn themselves, there's not as you know, it's not like a pudgy penguin. It doesn't have that kind of cuteness to it. They're cute in some kind of way, but you know, how do you feel about that cuteness and IP wise?
Yeah. Look at the Pudgy back there. He's hanging out.
He's got I see the Pudgy. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I always didn't. So when people brought that up as kind of like, oh, that's why it's S tier. I'm like, I'm not even really sold on that either. You know, I do think you know Ronin as a network, it kind of there's legs there. You know, but I don't. You know, I kind of agree with you with Axie. So yeah.
Yeah. So my problem is they got front ran on the IP. And now I think they're thinking about doing toys and plushies.
Yeah.
And like,
oh yeah.
I respect the hell out of the fact that they have so many players and sentiment is still there in the community only though. Now there's just better games that the true gamers in the industry,
right?
They've moved on. Like, and in my opinion, when you're looking at the products stacked up on this list, I'm not going to incorporate daily users into this thing. I'm going to incorporate game quality. In my opinion, it's wrecked. And they had an opportunity to run with the Pudgy narrative back here.
Oh, yeah.
But they flopped on that initially, and Pudgy made it happen. And now they're thinking about it. So,
right.
Yeah.
And Pudgy did with like, you know, a significantly less amount of resources.
Yeah.
You know, so we've seen a lot of teams with a lot less war chest than Axie do a lot more with a lot less. Is what I will say.
Ronin Chain
that's one of the things I've just noticed. Almost all of these teams actually probably on this list have a war chest smaller than Axie Infinity and have done more.
Yeah, and Ronin has a bright future. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's going to be great games that launch there, but in my opinion, the game just doesn't compete.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, let's move on. Where you know, Axie is dead, so is this next game. How do you feel about the Walking Dead Empires?
Oh God, man. Okay, so like, don't get me wrong. I think Gala has done some great things. Like their business model, the things that they're trying to do. I all credit to them. They're trying to do a lot. They're trying to be that one-stop shop to get all the games you're looking for.
Sure.
In my opinion, though, this game is just first and foremost not what I look for in a gaming experience.
Not your style of game.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, where's the sentiment on this? Where is the chat online about this? Like I said, people will talk about Gala as a whole, but who's talking about their individual games and playing it every single day, aside from, you know, a small segment of the space? I'm gonna, rough, man. Gala community is gonna hate it. Put it in wrecked behind Axie Infinity.
Going wrecked. Wow. And you know, this is just after they've gone with a persistent build. They just released their latest build, the Walking Dead Empires, where it is now persistent. So that, you know, this game has not been available. Like the whole, I think, idea behind this game is it's very mobile focused, but they haven't gone mobile yet, right? Because they haven't made the game kind of persistent, which just happened apparently. So I think that you know, you're right. This is definitely one of those games that is not going to be up everyone's, like, this is not up there at everyone's alley. They're like, nah. You know, some people really love this type of game, and some people definitely will not. I love The Walking Dead as far as like an IP. I think the game is just okay. I wouldn't necessarily put it in wrecked, so I don't necessarily agree with you with that, but I wouldn't put it that much higher than wrecked. And I would say too, because they haven't put as much focus on the mobile side when they really should be pushing the mobile aspect. Like, this would be a really great mobile game, but they really haven't really pushed that. And that's what they need to do here, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. If this was on mobile, I might jump in. Like, I got my mobile stack of crypto games there. And like, some of them aren't my favorite game style, but if it was on the mobile phone, I can see this thing doing really well. So it has the potential to move up. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, maybe it is back into C, like maybe. But in my opinion, once it goes mobile, it could make that jump, in my opinion.
But you're 100% right on no one's talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
just really know, like in the Gala community, like people in Gala are, but that, like, that doesn't really translate into like mainstream social media is what we'll say, right? We're not seeing people doing a lot of streams on it. It's not, I've streamed it a couple times. It's fun. It's, get a couple people in there. You're helping out. You guys are building the camp together. You're killing zombies. I think that one of the big things they're waiting for, like, is for some really big upgrades for like dungeons and things like that. Once they get some dungeons and cool things, I think there really could be a little bit more there. But yeah, right now, I might agree with you. It's pretty low there on the totem pole, I would say, right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Just did not deliver in the way it should have. All right, Big Time. What do you think about Big Time? They've come out real big with their token launch, their economy launch. It wasn't just a token. A lot of people think it's just a token, but man, it was so much more than that. It was the whole loop, and crafting is a huge part of that as well. And like crafting these uniques, they have one of ones that could be crafted, which I thought was really cool. But what do you think about Big Time? Where would you rank it?
I mean, big applause. They rolled this thing out. They had huge hype. They had streamers all over the place on Twitter, YouTube playing this thing.
Yeah.
The rental marketplace is still doing really well. The economy, although it's not an on-chain, a lot of the flack that this one gets is, oh, it's not an on-chain game because all their assets live on like the website and it's more like a off-chain asset.
Well, yeah, you can move it on and off. Yeah, for sure.
So like some people like dislike that. I think it's good for onboarding, and like it still is a Web3 game. So
100%.
I think they've absolutely crushed it. I will say, once again, like it's not the game that I'm ready to sink my teeth in all the time. Not like I'm a first person shooter fan, and that bias might show here in a bit, but I'm going to put this in the front of A above Wildcard because this one had a heck of a successful launch, and it's hard to dispute that. And the game's quality, like you've jumped in, obviously.
Oh yeah, I've been playing Big Time since it was playable, so it's been a good year and a half or so, and it's great to see the progress they've made with this latest update. Man, huge amount of progress. Obviously, some setbacks. They had some server lag issues for a long time, for quite a few weeks. That was plaguing them, and that's plagued also another game on this list. We'll talk about that in just a second, if you know. But I think Big Time. I agree with you. I think the A or S tier for Big Time is totally, acceptable. I think that they've done a great job. And I agree, even though the website, does keep your assets kind of as a Web 2, right? Like data listing, but you can kind of port them out, which is great. And I think that being the default makes sense. Getting used to kind of switching things from like your in-game wallet to your marketplace wallet can be a little tricky. But other than that, I think that, the open loot system they've made is actually really good. And I think it's going to be one of those surprise platforms that onboards more games, playable games, than people may even be realizing at this point. And Open Loot's they might end up being one of those big competitors to Gala and like Myria and a couple of these other ones who are not landing the big games. And Open Loot kind of just sneaks in there under the radar, baby. Telling you.
And it's easy to use as a gamer.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to come in and understand all the intricacies of on-chain assets, gas fees, this and that. Like it's just really easy to jump in. You can pay with your credit card. You can get involved if you want assets, and then you can roll with it. So I think it's easy to use. Like I said, they killed it. So all the support in the world for what they've done. And I think it belongs in that A tier.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, well, right there with you. Let's move on to the next one. What do you think about Star Atlas? It's a big, ambitious project, space MMO, Star Atlas. What do you think?
Respect to that team, man. When they came out with this idea, it was all hyped. They did the ship launch. Obviously, those ships are way down in value, right? Like
it's Black Friday
down.
Every day. But
exactly. But everything aside, they got hit by the FTX debacle. They lost a lot of their runway. And honestly, I feel like since that happened, they released the open world, like where you can get on the ships, ride them around, do the courses. You can explore the world. It was the showroom. That's what it's called. And then this recent launch, like all respect in the world to this product and this team. I don't know that it's going to crack my A tier just yet because the grand scheme of things, the whole product isn't ready and it's not there yet. But I do think this is above Aurory. I'm going to make it my first home in the B tier.
Going B? Okay. I can see that. Yeah, Star Atlas says, you know, they've had some trials and tribulations so far, and they were already very ambitious with the project, so which we know, and there's a lot of you know, great investors and community behind the project. That was one of the big things I will always give Star Atlas. They have a big, large, vocal community. You know, they're out there talking about Star Atlas all the time, which is good to see. You know, that's a good indicator for long-term success. When you stop having that community, that's when you end up in the wreck tier like Walking Dead. And even with Axie, because even Axie with big community can also end up there too, depending on how things go. But you know, when that community leaves, that can be a big detractor for people. So
can't escape a boring game. That's what Axie is, in my opinion. So community aside there, but yeah, like Atlas still has the support. They have loyal people in that community. It's still all over your Twitter feed, like all the time. And I think that until something shows me negative, like despite all the FUD they've gotten, the developments have always been solid, and they are making progress despite the ILV, Atlas, little beef, whatever the case is. I'm in support of both, and I think it's rightful so far in the development in the B tier. Yeah,
no, I'm right there with you. I think that's solid. All right, well, like, man, I don't even need you. I could have just done all this on my own. We're the same tier list. No, it's great having you here, man. I love hearing your insight and opinions on these things, because, you know, we talk and stuff like that back and forth, but really having someone here to bounce ideas off and talk about things and understand, like, hey, yeah, we kind of see things very similarly. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right, Dead Drop. What do you think about Dead Drop? Have you played much, or are you a founder pass holder, or have you jumped in the game? What do you think about Dead Drop?
I got my founder's pass. Never sold it since day one. I'm an advocate of supporting what they're building. Now, there's a couple things. Some people might not agree with me, and I know you like Dead Drop a lot too. So like this one might be the first slight disagreement that we have. I feel like this building in public thing, it's been 50-50. Like every stage of development that they're coming out with, the game's getting a lot better. But I also feel like it's whenever you play certain builds over the time, you jump in and it's like, it's not as polished as you would like to see it. But these types of games with this type of ambition takes time. And if you're going to build a quality, sort of a new genre with this vertical extraction that they're going with, I think it's fantastic. It's one of the best multiplayer shooters that we have in all of Web3 at this point in time. This might peeve a little bit of people. I'm going to go front of the B tier.
Going B? Okay.
I'm going to put it front of the B tier. I think as this develops, it could rightfully push itself up to the S tier. Like no doubt about it. But for now, at the point where the build is, I think it has some improvements to be made. Even the dock can't grapple correctly. So,
yeah, hey man, I will tell you, dude, I have missed so many zip lines and died like in that game. And it's just, you know, sometimes you miss them, man. You just miss them.
Yeah, it happens.
You know, like, I didn't hook on right. I don't know.
It's like grab the.
But you're right.
What did it say? Grab the thing.
grab the. Yeah. You know. Look, it's just one of those things. But you're right. I agree with you on some of the criticisms there. You know, they are very much one of the projects that you see here, man. When you look at the approaches that all these projects have taken, Dead Drop very much said, we're going to Web3 all the way. Because this is what we talk about, is transparency in the development process and including the community from day one. And we've seen a lot of projects, like Star Atlas has done the same thing. You know, a lot of these other projects have also done the same thing, instead of like developing for 2-3 years and then saying, okay, now we're going to bring you guys in, right? And so Dead Drop has done it from the get-go as well. And yeah, maybe to their detriment sometimes, but I definitely applaud them for you know, giving it a go. And they've made it spectacular, man. Their live events have been fire. You know, a lot of great stuff has come out of this. And I think that, you know, the interest is there. Yeah, I would probably disagree with you. I'd probably go A tier on this. I don't know that I'd put a B tier, but I think for me, it's a solid A tier. But you're right. There's still a lot of development time to go. You know, they've only been at this for a little bit, about 2 years now. So about 2 years. So, I mean, it's not, you know, I think that's not a ridiculous time for a game like this. And I think in another year, man, it's going to be solid.
Yeah, it's not that they're not meeting my expectations, but I think the building in public, like I said, they'd still have a little ways to go to perfect this thing. Here's what I'll say. Do you remember the very first build, the obstacle course, the shooting course you go through and you had to hit all the targets? Once all the maps have that level of detail, and then the gameplay is crafted correctly, because like the textures on some of the maps at some builds have been, you know,
They
You're kind of just
almost
like,
they
oh,
have like no texture. Yeah, there's
yeah,
no
it's a
texture.
basic environment. So for these types of things, I think you put the environment of the very first build with the graphics that are developing over time with like the weapons and the combat mechanics. It's going to be probably an S tier game. But
Yeah.
at this stage, hard for me
It's just
to,
not there
you
yet.
know, yeah.
Sure. No, I get it. Yeah, I think you're spot on. Honestly, I think that's a good evaluation of it. And that's quite a few of these games, I think, too. There's a lot of games where even in the state that they're at now, still they're considered early access, right? And that's okay. I think that making a good game takes a while. And, for a game like Star Atlas, that could be 5 to 6 years, maybe even 7. For, something like a wild card or big time or some of these other ones, maybe not as many, but still, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, is not unheard of for a really good game. And when you look at these AAA titles, yeah, they're taking 4 years, 5 years, no problem.
Yep.
No problem. All right, let's go take a look at Shrapnel. Been a lot of talk about it. I know you love this game, but also one of the games where it's like, hey, there's been limited play tests. Have you gotten your hands on Shrapnel?
Man, I haven't played yet. Have you?
No, man. Like every time there's been so many invites, and I've missed everyone. I just could never make it work. The team desperately wants me to play though.
Yeah. All right. So the gameplay looks phenomenal, I have to say. But yeah, I think like just like any other Web3 game, the I don't know, when I watch people play, I've watched plenty of streams since I haven't gotten the chance to play it. Like, I don't know, the ADS just maybe it's their sensitivity. Maybe they're playing on grandpa sensitivity, but it's like the ADS. There's a lot of shake. There's a lot of things I think could be like done a little better. This could be an S tier game, like I said, just like Dead Drop. And I think we're about to be able to jump into this on Epic Games. I think that their early launch, they're going to do something this next month. So finally get to play it ourselves. And then maybe my assessment will change. Let's go above Wildcard, but lower than Big Time. Because Big Time had a super effective full launch. Shrapnel just launched their token. I think they're approaching that first game launch. And if they kill it, I think it could go above Big Time in the A, and then maybe even catapult into one of the S tier games that we have. But on the sake that I haven't played it, and when I watch it, the mechanics sometimes are like, ooh, that doesn't look great. I'd say A.
I agree. And you know what? I think that, and we're starting to see this a little bit too. We're starting to see, Shrapnel, how unpolished it also is. When you look at like textures and mapping it, and people think, oh man, Shrapnel's a lot ahead of Dead Drop and some of these other games. But when we see some of this latest development stuff and what they're kind of showcasing, like it's not the fully textured, polished version, of Shrapnel, I think. So I think that's probably what we're going to get access to, and it's going to feel a little bit like a Dead Drop, honestly, with a Proving Grounds type of map.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's what I see.
I'm bullish on it. I think that it has so much potential. Oh, yeah. But like I said, right now at the stage, it might be slightly more polished than Dead Drop, just because Dead Drop is kind of taking their time meticulously gathering feedback, doing these public launches and these events. But we'll see how this first build feels. Like I said, it could jump itself up, or maybe if the mechanics are a little shaky, maybe it could go where Dead Drop is. But for now, I'm going to keep it in that middle ground on A tier.
Got you. All right. Solid. All right. Next up, one of the big ones. They're all. I look at the list. I'm like, one of the biggest. These are all like pretty big games. Illuvium, man. Yeah. What do you think about Illuvium? Where does Illuvium rank amongst giants?
Yeah, also, man. Have you jumped into the PvP?
Dude, okay, so once again, I told you, like, all these games backed up over the holiday, and I've had access to it for the last, like, 3 or 4 days. Haven't jumped in yet. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I haven't jumped in yet. I'm gonna do it today, actually.
Yeah, I was over there with family when they gave me the build. I was like, okay, I hope I can get in. I played it a little yesterday, and I got to say, like, it's not my genre, but, man, it's fun. It is freaking fun. That auto battler when you were playing against the computer, you played that one at least, right?
Of course. Oh yeah,
No, the first auto battler.
Well, I played every iteration that they've thrown out. The Beyond and everything too. So
perfect. So I think like it's not even my game genre, and it's super fun. The competitive nature of it, the strategy behind it. Like I had a fantastic time, and it's not even my style. I think once Overworld has more to do, I think that's the one critique. Like Overworld right now, it was more just like checking out the environments, and the environments are freaking amazing. I got to say, like they've done a great job crafting a world that people might want to, wander around in and creature capture and battle and do all these types of things. Because it's not fully launched, it's hard to, that's tough. Like it could fall in the S, it could fall at the top of the A. Like, oh gosh. I'm going to have to make a quick decision here out of respect for every game mode not being complete. Let's go top of the A. Top of the A.
Going A. All right.
Because,
all right.
And here's why I'm going to, Big Time's already had a successful launch, but I think that once Illuvium cracks it and they go live with their first like full blown public models with the PvP, once Overworld's perfected, I don't see how the sentiment on this isn't going to be way higher than a Big Time. In my opinion, that's just like their community is deeper, more experienced. They've played these things over time. Yeah. They're all super excited to get their hands on all these different experiences. So kind of like, who knows, maybe PvP comes out tomorrow and it's the new talk of Web3. It could be in that S tier, right? But for now, just because some elements aren't all there yet, we'll go top of the A.
All right, there you go. And PvP is imminent. So if you're watching this video, it's out. It is out for you guys, which is pretty cool. And you'll see my reactions on it here later this week because we're playing it.
Let's go.
We're playing it live. Okay. All right. Illuvium, boom, going A tier. All right. Bouncing back to the end of the list here. This is a game that recently also just launched, like out into the wild, saying, hey, we're doing an early access launch on Steam and on Epic. Phantom Galaxies. Have you played Phantom Galaxies? What do you think about it?
I've played this one for about a year and a half. Yeah. Can you tell on my face how I feel about it?
You look like you're happy of how things went with this launch. Please tell me more, sir.
Okay, like not even. I'm not here to FUD. Not here to do anything. All right.
Right. We know
the first few builds I played, I was like, this is freaking awesome for a Web3 game. Like they had come so far in a short time period. It felt like, and the game was polished. They had like this storyline. What did they call them? The chapters, I think it was. Like you did these different chapters of gameplay and you earned different assets,
posters and stuff, and like completion medals. Yeah,
I was stoked. I had a great time, and it's one of those things like space exploration type of stuff. Not really like the games I love, but I even jumped in and had a great time. But then they go on this public launch, and like although they've taken a long time to develop this thing, it just wasn't ready. And like if you're gonna push these things out to the public, you only have, our first impressions of games can be different. Dead drops, shrapnels, illuviums, because we know like they are not even close to their full launches. But then Phantom Galaxies comes out, puts this thing on Epic and Steam, and it wasn't even like hardly workable for half the people that played it. Like they said it was so laggy. They said it, download issues. Like it was hardly freaking playable. Like it's disappointing to have to do this for a game and a team that I do support. But I feel like they took all this 18 months of work and then they said 1 week, we have 7 days to put it on Steam. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what happened here. So the game's fun, and having the experience on builds that I've had, let's put it above Walking Dead, but behind Axie. Like this could, you only have one shot to make a first impression to a gamer. Are they going to come back around to that after having a bad experience? Probably not.
Yeah. I needed that Eminem track to come in right there. Like I'm gonna tell you, all right, that's you got your one shot. That one opportunity, Phantom Galaxies. And I'm kind of with you, man. I've been same here. I've been supporting it since the beginning. Since I played every build. I've loved this game. I've talked to the team. We've worked together. Same. I feel exactly the same way you do. Man, it was like they were making so much progress. Things were looking great. There was a decent storyline. The combat was fun. I was looking forward to the next thing. And then this whole public launch comes out of nowhere. Not nowhere, but like, and they just weren't even close to ready. Like servers couldn't handle it. They didn't know what, and it still has gotten to a point where I tried to play it, once on stream, it didn't work. And then I tried to play again off stream and it still didn't work. And I was like, come on, man. And I talked to the team and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? And they're like, hey, can you take that stream down?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, look guys, I can't take the stream down. I did tell them I would change the thumbnail up a little bit to not make it so negative. But I was like, hey man, you asked me, I have no problem. It's a courtesy. Sure, man. It's a game that I want to support. if I can do something, I'm not going to like go all the way and take the damn thing down, but I mean, change the thumbnail, sure. And that's how much I support him. But yeah, to see that, man, it's been rough. So
I'm in the same boat. Like I'm super close with the team over there. Like I consider them at this point friends. I've talked to them for so long, and they did so many things right. They had patience. They were chilling. They were letting this thing build and make sure it all worked. And then, like I said, I feel like 1 week, the CEO of their company probably walked in like, "We got 10 days. Steam, go." Like,
yeah,
no,
I know. I'm baffled. I don't know. I hate to see it in the wreck category. Man, I don't know if I would put it all the way in wrecked. Maybe C for me, like But I totally understand, and I am also disappointed. I really wanted to see a better launch for Phantom Galaxies. Hopefully they can come back from that. But, racking up so many negative reviews on Steam and on Epic because the game just doesn't work. And it's mostly a server issue. It's not necessarily like, oh, the game, like, maybe there was some bugs or something, but in general, it wasn't really a game related issue. It was a server related issue. And that's a fixable, that's something that should be fixable quickly. And, I don't know. I'm just disappointed. I feel you. Let's move on. We're not going to dwell on this. We're heading to the future. We're going to the future in a world, John, in a world where you have crash landed on an alien planet, and there are monsters trying to literally eat you alive, eat you whole, and you got to extract and get off this planet before anybody, of these other teams can do it. You only got your couple teammates. Do you know the game I'm talking about here, sir?
Last Expedition.
It is Last Expedition, yes. What do you think about Last Expedition? Have you played the game?
Yeah, I've played it. I know you have too, right?
Yeah.
So like, I remember when this one first came out, they announced it at the Galaverse. That's what they call it, right? The Galaverse events. They announced this one alongside, I think, Grit. It was the same time they announced Grit. By the way, wrecked for Grit. But we're not going to throw strays here, I guess. Last Expedition. They touted it like the Bungie Halo devs are building it, and I think it's fun. I think it's a good game, and it's honestly better than the games in the rec tier, in my opinion. And it's my type of game. I think I don't know if it's going to crack above Aurory to me, but I'm going to have to say maybe second place in the C tier. I think it's more fun than all the bottom three. I think you can play with your friends. You can have a great time. You can have laughs when your friends die. It's player versus player. So I think they have a lot of potential, is what I'll say. Okay. I think the game could improve. I think it's a little clunky at certain times, but it's not in full launch like a lot of these things aren't. So I think they can improve it. I think for Gala's portfolio of games, it's one of the better ones.
No, I agree. Last Expedition is by far my favorite Gala game. Yeah. But where I disagree is with the rating. I definitely would give it a B or an A tier, man. I played this numerous times, and every damn time, when we got a full lobby, man, this is more fun than almost anything. Like, there's so many crazy moments. You're right, it is still early in the development cycle too, which is another thing. All these games have that same kind of thing about them, right? But I would at least put it on par, I think, with Dead Drop, with where they're at with the development cycle and the playability with multiplayer fun.
I like what you like. I play games for multiplayer. I like to play with friends. I like to laugh at them when they get destroyed. I like to destroy other people. So you know what? I have to say, you are right on that side. And there's not a lot of games that have that. Slide it to the C or slide it to the B right behind Star Atlas. I would say
change his mind. That doesn't happen very often right there. Woo!
Well, no, honestly, because I'm just judging it by the game itself. But when you are talking about the experience, that factors in. Like, would I have fell as much in love? Yeah, okay, I probably would have loved Halo, even if it didn't have multiplayer. But the multiplayer made it so much more fun. Like Team Slayer with your boys, it's 48-48. You're like, don't die. It gets so intense, right? Multiplayer makes these games. So yeah, you're right in that respect. I was more just game mechanically. But when you add that fact to it, how many shooters can you jump in with a full lobby and play currently? There's not a lot.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, because there's just not a lot of interest there. But when they've done their play tests, we always have full lobbies, and it's been so much fun, man. I mean, just getting the whole teams together, playing with people like Classy and Spike and Icy and a bunch of other guys, and really just kind of go out there and really just enjoying that time. And yeah, there are some clunky things about it they obviously are working on, and it's still early, but I love the look
Most
of it.
Web3 games have it.
Yeah, I know, right? Like pretty much just kind of how it goes. But yeah, so all right, okay, solid B. Let's go. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to
These are going to be fun. These are going to be so tough. Oh gosh,
it's not parallel at all to Last Expedition. We'll say it's not parallel at all. But what do you think about parallel? Where do you rank parallel here?
Crushing it right now. I mean, like, I'm not a big TCG trading card game fan, but it's hard to dispute. They've built a game, an IP behind this in such a short time. Now, they've been building for a while.
Well, yeah, I was like, I don't know, man. They've been around for a long time. Parallel's definitely been around for a while.
But that first alpha launch was just so successful. It's hard not to see, like, and I'm a fan of these other ecosystems, don't get me wrong, but I think this will overtake the sentiment of a Gods Unchained. It already did. Lapped it probably. I think that once the full game is live, it's one of those genres that has a specific niche of players that are just going to stick to it. Mm-hmm. Whereas the other Web3 games in this industry, they get a player base and they're recycled. Like the people who play big time jump over to Illuvium. The people who play this game jump over here because there's just not that experience yet to keep you in the loop. Yeah. I think Parallel has that potential. So here's what I'm going to do.
Because I agree with you. Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do. It's really tough. Like it's either an A or an S. Like it is. It's either an A or an S. To me personally, it can't crack S because I'm not the biggest TCG fan. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go above big time, below Illuvium.
All right, going A.
And I think that's a respectable place to put it. Like,
yeah, no, I feel that. And I like TCGs, man. And I've played a lot of them, a lot. Because, starting out here in crypto gaming in 2017, there was like nothing, and then 2018 comes around and Gods Unchained was one of the first real legit games to do that. And I was in the closed beta testing for it, and I played since then. And so I've got a lot of like Web3 TCGs in me. And, I got to the point where I just had to take a break from them. But Parallel has done a really great job of rolling out everything they had been working on for years here and really making a successful game. And what to me actually would elevate it into S tier is what they're doing and working on with Colony. That stuff is so incredibly interesting with the AI aspects of exactly what they have going on, kind of mixing in the card game and aspects of that into this like AI, like, I don't even know how to describe it, man. I just want to get my hands on it and mess around with it so I can really get a good explanation for people of like what it really is. But like AI assisted metaverse farming something, it's awesome. It looks really cool and everything I keep seeing is awesome, but I think that's what will put it kind of over the top. But I don't really know. I want to get in there and like really mess with it, so I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, Colony, that the ideology behind that type of a game I think could really blow up. And I've said this about almost every single game in the A tier, I think, other than Wildcard. I think it has the potential to move up to an S. Yeah. Like with some of the things they could do. Like I think Shrapnel could, I think Parallel could, I think Illuvium could, but where it is today, I can't justify the S tier until future builds come out and we just kind of see more from the ecosystem.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. All right, so Parallel down. Let's talk about MPH, those crazy rabbits. What do you think about My Pet Hooligan?
We always talk about IP. I think their IP has a lot of potential, man. Like
the best.
They could make a comedy Netflix series. Like they could they could make a freaking movie with these hooligans, and it would be hilarious.
Did you know that? They literally are already making it. I've been to their studio.
It's crazy. I'm trying not to disclose too much. But when I talk to
oh wait, was I not? Sometimes we infiltrate, we get intel.
I think you're fine. I don't think they're gonna care too much. They're doing some awesome things, and I absolutely love the IP specifically. Like the game also is super polished. My one thing, they added the game modes in the last build, which is fantastic. There has to be stuff to do. In that first build, you were just kind of roaming around, skateboarding, killing. Yeah,
there was no game mode in the earlier build before they launched to the early access build. There was no. It was just an open kind of like it was Hooli Town essentially. You roam around town, you shoot people, shoot Zuckbox, but it wasn't a mode,
which was awesome. It was like I think of this game as a mixture of a GTA world with Ratchet and Clank style mechanics. Like that's
a good.
that's kind of the way
that's...
I kind of see this game in that way. For now, I'm going to put it above Star Atlas, below Dead Drop. I think once they go further into the ecosystem and the IP develops more and we see all the different things they can do in the entertainment space, it'll elevate the game. So personally, that's where it's going to land right now, with a lot of upside to getting that A tier, in my opinion.
Going up. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think that, these games that we picked today are all very top tier games, and they all have the ability.
So it makes it hard.
It's hard. It's really hard, guys. They all have the ability to move up and down and over time. Because if you go back and look at when I first started doing these tier lists, like a year or something plus ago, you can talk about where a game is at in their cycle then, and then look at it now. And man, it could have gone from a C tier up to an A, and then maybe next year goes back down to rec. Just how it goes, man. It's a crazy industry. Startup industry.
It is.
Games.
It is.
All right, last two. NFL Rivals. What do you think about NFL Rivals? Are you an NFL fan? Have you tried out this game? Is this your style? What do you think about? What do you know about NFL Rivals?
Yeah, man. I play quite a bit. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
There we go. I was like, all right. I didn't know. I didn't know if maybe you were, maybe you weren't.
So like, there's a lot of Web3 games on mobile that have a lot of test builds out right now. So like, I'm looking at my phone, like there's WAGMI games, there's Honeyland, there's Heroes of Mavia, which I'm a big fan of. There's NFL Rivals, but I think NFL Rivals has done the best job so far in the mobile space. They make it super easy to understand. The assets don't feel like they're NFTs. They have a good amount of users playing this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's Mythical Games behind this, right? They did a great job with Blank Ghost whenever they first launched it. And I think this one, I call it IP, but the NFL IP, it could last forever. Like, and if they continue to improve this game, I could see this thing really having a really bright future. Is it a better game than Illuvium Parallel Big Time? It's hard to judge a mobile game versus these AAA giants. And this is where it gets super hard, in my opinion. Like, is this an S tier due to the adoption that it's had? Or is it a B tier behind My Pet Hooligan because of just the game? Only it's a capped development that you can have to make this thing better. Let's go. Oh gosh, this is so hard, man. And I want to disclose to the audience, every game on here is pretty good. So like, and most of them are top quality. Like my A tier seems crowded, but I think that's where they belong. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Put it in front of Wildcard behind Shrapnel.
All right. Going A tier.
They've done the best job of getting in front of traditional markets. Like recently.
I agree. Yeah, totally great job. And the thing too is people have to realize, we're rating these games relative to them being in Web3 and them being in, mostly these early development phases, right? Not in comparison to launched games like a Baldur's Gate or Diablo 4 or Starfield. You know what I'm saying? Like we're comparing them relative to the industry. A lot of people would just say, "Oh, well, in actual gaming, these games are all trash and no one would ever play them." And I'm like, that's funny because there's still thousands of people here, even if it's not that. I mean, it's still some of these communities have 10,000, 20,000 people maybe who are like holders, have assets, are involved in some sort of way. So it is all relative. We'll say.
Yeah. And I got to say this, Stash, before we move on to this last one. This has been an awesome session with you so far. I feel like we have a lot of the same ideas on these games. We see the development cycles very similar. And I think it's super exciting because when we're looking at this list, we're thinking these games are solid right now. And they have so much more developments to come over the next 6, 8, 12, 18 months. Like they're only going to improve. And once we have Illuvium, Parallel, Big Time, Shrapnel, Dead Drop, Star Atlas, etc., all live at the same time, and we have all these different flourishing game types and players actually coming in to play these games because they're good and they had the appropriate development timelines, man. Like this industry is going to turn heads. And it's just a matter of time. So like people have to be patient. We said it before the show. Call of Duty wasn't built in 2 days. Like people in Web3 gaming, here's the problem. We want the same timeline that crypto operates on. If you're not giving it to me now, then it's a scam, right?
Yeah, 24/7. Let's go, baby.
But this is gaming and it takes a long time. You got to have a lot of development power. It costs a lot of money to make a game. So I think the next 12 months are going to be fruitful for the industry and we're going to see a lot of growth on the game and player side.
Yeah, and I think that in the market side too, you're right. I think a lot of people get used to, the gains and how quickly crypto moves, in general, but game development not so much. And we're both in it for the long haul. Everyone I think knows that at this point. So,
Yeah.
all right, here it is. This is the topper. We're going last game here, Off the Grid. This is a game that is in a lot more polished state. If you guys maybe have not seen it, I'd be surprised. It's already hit all the big mags. We saw Dr. Disrespect play it with some other big streamers and play a full session, man. We're talking about, big names involved with this game, right? What do you think about Off the Grid? Where do you rank this game?
Yeah, so like we also talked about this before the show. This is one I haven't played. Now, does that mean that I can't make an assessment based off everything that has been presented to me? Absolutely not. As a gamer, there's one game on this list that sticks out to me like it could be a smash hit in the Web 2 space, compete with other it's a third person shooter. So, and the graphics are freaking spectacular.
So good.
Like when I was watching that multi-stream of Clicks and Dr. Disrespect, they're like running through the trenches in the swamp. And I think it was Clicks. He like stops and he looks in the water and it's like rippling. You can see his reflection in it was so high detailed and the actions, the every sequence of the game just looks spectacular.
Like the freaking arms, like the cybernetic arms and stuff and attachments they have, like those things are badass.
The machinery, the vehicles that roll through the map, like everything about this game looks top quality. This is the one I'm most excited for. And I can just see a game and know that I'm hyped for it. IGN did them dirty at first with that Gamescom thing. Yeah. But I think that's what made them be like, you know what? Let's show these people. Let's get it in the hands of real gamers and like see what we can do. This is an S tier for me. This is the game that I'm looking the most forward to. It looks the most polished. Like Gunzilla's been building for a long time, but Off the Grid hasn't been on the radar for most people as much as maybe an Illuvium or a Shrapnel, etc. But if you just look game by game, it looks like the most polished development-wise, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this. I'm praying to the Off the Grid team that you see this. Let Stash and I end the game.
I know, I'm right there with you, man. When I told you guys earlier that it was literally an iron gate, I've been trying to bang down the iron gate at Gunzilla Games for the last year to play this damn game. And then Doc, the second best mustache in gaming, gets to play before me? Okay, I understand, guys. I understand. I don't take it to heart. But I would love to get in this as well. Looks amazing. I'm right there with you. The team obviously has been building for a long time. Their incorporation of kind of blockchain tech. We'll see how that goes. We don't have like anything about tokenomics or things like that. If how that's going to work. We do know Gunzilla has a bunch of Web3 stuff built out, like their wallet. They have a Guns wallet. We just did a giveaway for one of their other games that if you have that NFT, then you'll be able to use it in Off the Grid, which I thought was kind of cool. It's a dual, NFT where you can use it. But I was like, I like the interoperability. So they're already thinking about that, which I think is really cool. And that hypes me up even more about this. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that it is definitely S tier. And we're going to see that really be popping off here in 2024. Because you're right, it's more polished than almost anything on this list. Almost all these other games are still pretty much in some early development cycle. I think Off the Grid is the closest to being what we would consider, that polished AAA launch experience.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say. Like when you look at this game, the Guns app, I think you mentioned the Guns app.
Yeah.
Whenever that's on the phone, it's gonna be like trading CS:GO skins for the people who do it. And I know like a lot of people bought that Steam Deck, the handheld like a Switch, just to play CS:GO and open the cases.
And open cases and they go. Not even play CS:GO.
No.
But literally just open cases and they go like, I'm picking my deck and they open cases. Like, you're gambling.
Yeah, so people always talk in this industry. Does it drive off product or does it drive off speculation? And I do think Off the Grid's going to have a good mixture. With that app, you can be on the go. You can get your skins. You can trade them right then and there. You can always check in on your values of your guns and your skins, etc. And then the game matches up to it. So like combination of what the economy looks like from the outset and then what the game is, because we've seen the game. This one's S tier, no doubt. I have to ask you, is there any games that you would move to S that I didn't have there?
That's a good question. I agree with you on off the grid. I think S tier all the way. I would also, okay, like when I look at what is my qualification for S tier, my main thing is, will this game penetrate into mainstream gaming, or is it just going to be a Web3 thing? Right? There's nothing necessarily wrong with just being a Web3 or Web3 focus and like really, playing that crowd. But breaking into a mainstream where like, hey, this is a top 25 game streamed on Twitch. This is a top 25 game streamed on YouTube. People are talking about it on TikTok and making shorts. That's the kind of level we're talking about. Mainstream penetration. That's kind of what I rate these on. So, I think Off the Grid has the closest chance right now. I think Shrapnel right behind him. I think they're pretty close behind him. But I honestly also think that Wildcard is going to be a big surprise, man. I think that what they are doing and their kind of play mode and game modes that they're working on, I really do think that could be something that stands out and gets people wanting to be a part of it, because it has the collectability with the cards, making your deck but then it has a fast pace, even faster than a traditional MOBA, which I love, man. And it's got this kind of sports feel to it as well. And they're doing some really cool things. So those would be the two I would probably move up to the S tier. Versus what you have right now, personal opinion.
Yeah, this one was just hard for me because, like,
I know.
I think 12 of these games are genuinely awesome, like really good products. So it was really hard to like make it the difference between what is the A to the S, and just to me from what we see all around from Off the Grid, it just right now looks better than anything else on the list to me.
Yeah.
So. But that A tier, we said it throughout the show. I think there's about 4 of those games that could catapult themselves to the S. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and 2024 is going to be that year. We're going to see a lot of these get to launch playable state and really have at least a good amount, a couple years of development under them by the end of 2024. So that's going to really correlate with what I also think. I don't know what your prediction for an actual bull run when that time frame is going to be. But 2024, mid 2024, going into 2025, is a familiar setup. I will say that it's a familiar setup. So
I agree with you. I think that's the right timeline. I think what we're seeing in the markets right now, too. Last thing I'll say, gaming is the talk of the town. It's the leading sector for the gains in crypto right now, and I think it's just a tale of the tape of what's to come in the full blown bull. And you give this industry another 12 months to produce quality games and experiences. I would love to see where that market is during a full-blown bull run.
Woo! Well, a year is not that long away, and we are very much, close to 2024. We're almost there, and so I think we're going to see a lot of these things developing over the next, 12 months. I agree with you. And by this time next year, if we're not all millionaires with, hot girlfriends and riding around in Lambos, then you must have been doing something wrong, because we've been telling you guys, get in now, look at these games now. That's why we're doing these lists, so you have something to look at, and start doing your research, because you'll be able to profit off of these in one way or the other, even if it's just like, hey, I got into this game before everyone else, so I got to try it first and be one of the first guilds or whatever it may be. That there's value there too. There's value there.
Absolutely.
All right, hey, Hustlepedia, thank you so much, John, for jumping on here and rating these games. These 15 of the top Web3 crypto-enabled games out here. I know it was hard, but you did it like tough. A champ, and I appreciate you, sir. A gentleman and a star.
I'll be looking forward to the Ron community in the comments.
Let's go. Until next time, Secret Agent Stash, over and out.
Secret Agent Stash. Secret Agent Stash.